Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity and business. Today I'm with Charlie Mullins, OBE, entrepreneur and founder of Pimlico Plumbers. Charlie left school at 15 with no qualifications and went on to build the UK's largest independent plumbing firm. Charlie shares some of the tips and insights he's learned about business from his time growing Pimlico into one of the UK's most recognisable plumbing brands. So hey Charlie, it's an honour to have you here on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Phil. Very honoured to be on your podcast, and hopefully it's a lot of value and help to a lot of people.
I'm sure it's going to be. Definitely so. So Charlie, you're one of, I think, two OBEs we've had on the podcast, so I'm sure you're going to have lots of great things to tell everyone. But for those of us who don't know who you are, just tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Charlie Mullins. Managing Director and founder of Pimlico Plumbers, which I formed in 1979. I started off as an apprentice plumber and then formed Pimlico Plumbers. We now have 350 people on board. Our turnover is 35 mil, and we're the largest independent plumbing company in the UK, and certainly the most recognised and most successful.
Wow, that's quite a growth from those initial days in 1979 that you mentioned there. So tell us, where did it all start?
It all started, very much. I was born in Camden, North London, and I used to sort of bunk off school at the age of 9 to help a local plumber. And the reason, I used to help him, he had a motorbike, a car, loads of money, nice clothes, nice house, nice holidays. And, he said to me then that if I become a plumber, I've done an apprenticeship in plumbing. And he said to me then, probably 50 years ago now, if I do an apprenticeship in plumbing, I'll earn loads of money and never be out of work. And he's totally right. I now give that same advice to anybody doing an apprenticeship. I always say to everybody, the seeds were sown then. And if he'd have been a bank robber, I'd have been a bank robber. Probably not a successful one as plumbing. So, it was a great bit of advice and much better than going to school for me. I'm not saying that's how everybody should carry on, but if you know what you're going to do and you've got a passion for it, just go for it. Great
stuff. I'm glad he was a plumber as well, Charlie, and not a bank robber, for your sake.
I could be talking to you from prison there, couldn't
I? That's it. So you see those nice clothes, you see those nice holidays, you think, I want to be a plumber. And you begin that journey, right. Yeah?
Yeah, but I've come from a pretty poor background, like a lot of people. And, sure. This was a successful guy. Everybody loved him. He just sort of seemed to have a great lifestyle. And, I very much sort of copied him over the years and very, very grateful for it.
Great stuff. And so in that kind of first realization where you think this is a profession for you, there's a different point where you think, do you know what? There's something else I can do here. I can be the guy who's running numerous plumbers as such, and the concept for Pimlico Plumbers maybe first arises at that point. So tell us about that. Was it always part of your plan, or did it come as a spark of inspiration later on?
Certainly wasn't part of my plan. If I'm being honest, Phil, I'd more than happy just to have been a plumber and, earning loads of money and having a great lifestyle. The reason the Pimlico Plumbers came about, was my services were in demand, fortunately, and I couldn't get here, there and everywhere. And then it was pointed out to me, you'll always earn a good living as a plumber or as a one-man band, but you're never going to be, really sort of rich and really sort of, do well, on that basis. And, it's pointed out to me I need to basically employ people and look for people with very, very sort of similar sort of ideas as myself and work ethics as myself. So, I couldn't get here, there and everywhere. I took on one guy, which was a carpenter, was driving me around, helping me get the materials, also very useful, on the jobs of floorboards and bath panels and etc. And it sort of grew from there. I was working in the Pimlico area and I got known as the Pimlico plumber because I didn't really move out of Pimlico. And then, the estate agents there called Pimlico Properties offered me a room in their basement. I started off with 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, 4 rooms, then completely, took over the complete basement, bought the lease of it. So, it wasn't my intention, and when this guy offered me an office, I thought he's obviously off his head. Why would a plumber want an office? I'm out there doing the job. Why would I want an office? But, I'm a great believer now that, to grow your business, you need to, have a proper office, and you also need to employ people.
Great stuff. So those early days where you got a carpenter, was he your mate or was he someone who you met through business? Did he begin that way?
No, it was an old school friend. He had, come out of his business. He was in the print, and he wanted to take up carpentry. So he sort of came with me on the basis he also went to college at the same time. He just wanted a career change. He just, like all these things, they're very much coincidental. I mean, his brother was a plumber and we would be on the same jobs at times. I think I used to use his brother to do a bit that I couldn't do. And then his brother said, look, I've got my brother here doing carpentry. I don't really want him with me all the time kind of thing. And I seemed to be getting very busy then, things were really, because I was using him then, I suppose. I don't think it matters whether they're friends, family, or just someone you don't know. It's all about, whether you can work together or not. And quite clearly we did do. And I think he stayed with me probably, 15 years or so, and then went off and opened his own business. So, good luck to him.
Great stuff. So, Charlie, when was the first days that you remember you not going out there and being the guy doing the plumbing? There must have been a point where that changed. And a number of staff, perhaps.
Yeah, very much so. I can't remember the exact date, but I would say probably a couple of years in, I've got this one guy working with me, and then maybe 2 years down the line, I've got 1 or 2 more people helping out here and there. And then, I got offered this office, and, I was like a lion in a cage, you know what I mean? I'm in this office and I've got like, not working clothes on, shirt, tie, trousers. And, I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I've got to answer the phone. I've got to organise things. And, if I'm being honest, it drove me mad. So I very quickly got a part-time assistant in, a woman to answer the phone. And then I carried on going out and looking at the jobs and making sure things were right. And I still carried on at that stage doing the emergency call-outs at night. And that probably went on for another couple of years. But I would say probably 4 years into opening Pimlico Plumbers, I came off the tools altogether. And it was, it wasn't easy. I've got to be honest with you. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I had to make that break. I sort of learned, you can't be the captain of the ship and steer the ship and, feed the boiler kind of thing. So I came off the tools and probably took me 5 or 6 years to really get comfortable with it.
I bet. It's one of the great lessons of business, isn't it? That point you just made there about being the captain of the ship means that you can't steer it and defend it and whatever else you need to do. But it is a tough change because you're no longer doing the work. You're no longer in the business for the reasons perhaps that you started it, to do whatever you're good at. So it is a big change. How do you feel nowadays then, Charlie? Is it kind of second nature now? You get up, put a suit on, and
it's simple enough now. I mean, I still miss, I found plumbing very simple. You turn up at the house, do the right job, get cups of tea, get a tip off the people, and come away very satisfied and rewarded. And that's what I've done in an apprenticeship. So the other side of it, I was really like a fish out of water, if I'm being honest. But over the years, I've got obviously I like it. And now I like it even more because, we've got 350 people on board and, there's no business like your own business. And so, I'm so pleased I made that change. And, it's one of the bits of advice I give to people. To be successful in business, you must employ people.
Sure. And people who have a similar ethos to you in many ways. I'm sure that was an important part of it.
Yeah, I mean, very much so, but let's not kid anybody. You have to go through plenty of people to get where you want to get. I mean, we've been around 35, 36 years now. And, the hardest part of any business is the people you employ. And also your business is as good as the people you employ. But that takes a time to get there. You'll get through certain people, that are not drinking from the same teapot as you. And you have to very quickly move away from them. And keep changing and replacing people until you're comfortable with them. And, as I say, in business, I use this term, drinking from the same teapot. It's very important that you are, because if you've got somebody, coming in at a different angle from you or different work ethics, it doesn't work. And I don't mean you've got to be right all the time. You learn to delegate, you learn to trust people. And, there's some great people out there that have got great ideas and great ways of working. I mean, you can't be right all the time, but, we put in a sort of rules and regulations of how we want people to behave, how we want them to dress, what type of, code when they're at people's premises, and how to treat customers. And if you've all got a set of rules to sort of stick to as best you can, then I don't see how people can fail. I mean, a lot of people's downside is, lack of communication.
Sure, absolutely. And to be a brand as you are now, you need that communication so that everybody who encounters any of your plumbers gets a certain experience, which is what you aspire your company to have. So, Charlie, how has the world of plumbing changed since those early days in 1979?
Blimey. Well, you know what? We used to turn up at the houses, and they'd have a little sign up saying tradesman round the back. And, if I'm being honest, they looked on you like you was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But now you go there, and it's like they're with open arms. They've got a cup of tea waiting for you. They can't wait for you to come in. Your main talking point at their dinner parties and talking to their friends. They no longer treat you like this sort of second-class citizen. From a plumber or a tradesman point of view now, we've moved up with, they treat you like as if you was a doctor or a banker, or someone from the city. So it's changed tremendously, and rightly so. I think the value of good tradesmen is, on the same level of any top professional people.
Absolutely. It's an emergency service often, isn't it? It's the same kind of thing. Might not be life and death, but it's certainly part of what makes a home a home.
Well, you're right. I mean, when somebody lets you in their home, it's very personal. And, if you know how to conduct yourself and you're very sort of, honest and transparent and respectful to people and offer a quality service. I mean, the key to all our chat here, Phil, I know you're going to ask me later on what's the key to success. And it's all about quality of service or quality of product. And it doesn't matter, whether you're selling bacon sandwiches, or putting boilers in. It's all about quality of service. And people will always pay for quality.
It's a great point, Charlie. And speaking of what you've done there and how you've created that quality in your company, both you and Pimlico Plumbers are a recognised brand now. Can you remember the tipping point to becoming well known?
Yeah, I would say I can. Businesses are not an overnight thing. They're a long-term investment. They never happen overnight. And if they do happen overnight, it's like a jockey in horse race. You come to the front too quick, you're not going to stay there. So, I think businesses are built up, very slowly. And, probably after about 10 years, we started getting a bit of recognition. We started getting in the local press for a little bit of charity work or, involvement in like local community. And by about 10 years down, we started getting celebrity customers. Michael Winner, who unfortunately is no longer with us, Georgie Best no longer with us. But lots of footballers and managers and, celebrity people, bands and, some people out to take that and, quite a lot of them. And, I'm not saying, I'm probably sort of saying that was their turning point. All of a sudden we're working for celebrity people and, they pass it on. They're like, normal people. But if they get a good deal, and you've got to remember these celebrity people, I mean, they can't bang a nail in. So you get a plumber there and he fixes toilets within an hour. You're like, wow, what an amazing person. And then you become the talk of dinner parties and, and word of mouth goes on, and what, like most customers, what they like is that you turn up on time, you look decent, you're presentable, you're very respectful to their property, And most important, you do a good job and you're transparent. You're not ripping them off, because everybody feels that they're vulnerable to, somebody, a dodgy tradesman. And, I go back to what I say. So if you do the job right, you're on a winning formation.
Great stuff. The route to celebrity clients.
Yeah, I think that was their turning point. And, and then, we started getting used on, if I'm being honest, probably after about 15 years, we took on a PR company that approached us, and and I'm thinking, what does plumbers want PR for? But I'm very quick. If I'm being perfectly honest, we also took on a marketing manager about 15 years ago, and his key to success is recognition. And if you can happen to get recognised for the right reasons, so we was advertising on billboards, we was advertising on parking meters, telephone boxes, local newspapers, and he said, I always remember, you can be the best business out there, but if people don't know about you, there's no point. So he come up with this word recognition. You've got to get recognised, and of course, if you get recognised for the right reasons, again, it's the way to succeed.
Brilliant stuff. So I'm sure when you got to that point and you realised you're getting pretty well known out there, that was one of your best moments to date, thinking of that journey from those early days in 1979. So what else would be some of your best moments? And tell us about a couple of your toughest.
A couple of what, sorry, Phil?
A couple of your toughest and best moments.
Okay. Well, best moments, and I'll stick to them for a moment. We then got offered a little bit more television of commenting on things in the industry. We then done a program which was Posh Plumbers, all about city workers leaving to become plumbers. We got involved in that. We had an hour of television, BBC One. It was on prime time, 9 o'clock, and that was their turning point. We was getting 3-4 million viewers, and that was to change from Pimlico Plumbers being, a small company to, wow, maybe they're plumbers to the stars. That got us totally well known. So that was one of their biggest moments out there. And, as we've gone further down the line, we've probably done 10 other documentaries since then, Show Me Your Money, How'd You Get So Rich, various different ones that I was trying to think, other stuff abroad and all that, it was been just it's been sort of non-stop, the PR side of it. And of course, my favourite program, Secret Millionaire. I got to do that. So to be honest, Phil, there's so many parts in my sort of working life. And they're still coming. If I'm being honest, we've got programs coming up with Mickey Flanagan. We've got a big show coming out in July. So the PR side of it has gone on and on. And then that eventually led to an OBE. We've done various charity work. We're very much an ambassador for apprentices. We've been working very closely with the government. This is, Cameron and George Osborne, etc. Sorry, I'm not current government. We're still working with the current government, but we work quite a lot with George Osborne and Boris Johnson and David Cameron. Bit of name dropping there, Phil.
Great names as well, some of the most famous people in the UK.
But anyhow, we worked with them, and anyhow, we eventually got an OBE 2 years ago, which was great. Also got involved with Prince's Trust, another great sort of organisation helping youngsters into work.
Totally.
So I'm going to say they're my highlights, top bits. The downside of business is, let's not kid anyone. There's loads of sleepless nights. There's loads of, rows at home. There's loads of financial problems. There's loads of issues at work with people. There is a downside to running any business. It's not all, loads of money and, I don't have to work hard kind of thing. And our biggest setback was in the late 80s, early 90s. We went through a recession then, and we nearly went bust. We didn't have a proper structure. I bought a new building for the company, and all of a sudden, overnight, there's a recession out there. And so we had probably tough 3 to 5 years then. I went to see a liquidator. and we nearly went to go bust. And then I went to see another liquidator, and he decided, said, look, you're going to lose everything, your house, everything you own, the business. You may as well fight for it. So we come up with a plan to fight for it, changed everything, changed all the staff, changed everybody's way of thinking, become more serious to it, and got through it. But, probably 5 years of a tough time then that I wouldn't wish on anybody. The good news about the tough times is when they come again, the last couple of recessions, we've sailed through them. We've been organised. If I'm being honest, my biggest mistake back in the late 80s was I thought I could do everything myself. I didn't trust people. I didn't learn to delegate. I didn't put a structure in place. And all of a sudden I was getting burnt out, and, I was trying to do wages, recruiting, sacking people, estimating, and then you realise we're all good at something, but we're not good at everything. So you find out the best role that you can do for your business, stick to that, get other people in place, trust them, delegate. And, some of these people you get in place, whether it be accountants or HR, recruitment or PR, they're professional people. They can do the job a lot better than what you think you can do it. And that was a turning point. I had to change the business. So I started getting on managers and putting a structure in place. And, I don't know any successful business that one man can do it all himself. You've got to have good people around you.
It's a great point, Charlie. And I can see there how your toughest days have given you those lessons, which have laid the path for the better days that have come afterwards. So that's a great point.
I would hate to be in that position again, Phil, but it can happen. But, I changed my accountants, financial advisor, bankers, everybody, staff. And, what they did say, if you ever go through them tough times, you'll come out better the other side. So, in business, you're going to hit some tough times. You're going to be times when you can't afford, to put fuel in your van. I'm not going to say you can't afford to eat, but there's tough times that you can't afford to meet your bills. But the good news is if you get through them and you get it right, it makes you a stronger and a better business person.
Great stuff. So, Charlie, with all those kind of stories there and the lessons that you've learned, you've already given this real focus on quality being the essence of a great business and finding the right people. What other things do you believe are the most important elements to a successful business?
Okay, there's one of the things, Phil, that a lot of people overlook, and we all know what it is, and most of us do it, but we forget. It's called hard work.
Sure.
It's, a lot of people overlook it. You know what I mean? They think, well, if I get a good uniform, if I get a good van, if I get good office staff, but at the end of the day, success comes from hard work. And as I said to you, there's endless amount of hours you have to put into your own business, endless amount of sleepless nights and worrying over things. But if you don't do them and you don't work hard, you're not going to be successful. I do not know anybody that's been successful unless it's been handed down to them, but anybody that's built up a business that has not worked hard. One of the points I try and say to people, Phil, to make it simple, it's like making a cake. You've got to put different ingredients in it to be successful. So hard work is one of them. Good PR is another one. You could say sort of good workforce is another one. And sometimes, you put a bit of this one in and you've got too much of that and you need to say, put a bit more of this one in and take it out. So you keep sort of putting things into the pot and taking bits out. You might be great on sort of doing the job, but bad on recruiting people. So it's a complete mixture of different things. But the good news is, like making a cake, if you do it enough times and keep changing it, you'll eventually get the ingredients right or the recipe right. And once you've got the right recipe, you just carry on with it, But it's probably a nice way of explaining it to people in business. You're making a cake and, get some good people in there, do you know what I mean? And get some nice vans in there and get some nice advertisements, do you know what I mean? It's an all-round mixture that becomes successful. But, the longer you do it, the better the chances are that you'll succeed. And you also never got to be frightened of making mistakes. I know we all, use this saying, but if you've made a mistake, hold your hands up and change it.
Totally. I love that analogy of the cake and trying different ingredients until you get the recipe that you're after that works. That's a great one, that, Charlie. So speaking of your own cake, what are you going to do next with your business? And tell us a bit about Pimlico Marbella as well.
Okay, we have a very small branch out in Marbella. Nothing big. I mean, I have a couple of villas out there, and if I'm being honest, we struggle to get tradesmen out there. So I've got my own guys, and we set up a very small branch out there. It can be successful, if I'm being honest, if we really want to push it. And I'm a little bit unsure at the moment. If I spend more time out in Marbella, then I'm sure we make the Marbella side of it even bigger. But at the moment, it is small. I have about 10 guys out there at the moment. But there's certainly a massive market out there for quality service. So maybe it's something, I sort of work on more in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
The other thing that we've added to our business, we now have our own shop, Pimlico Plumbing and Heating Supplies, and we've introduced that in the last 2 years, and that has been an unbelievable plus to the business. It's a trade-only shop, and the real value is that we do a delivery service, so all our engineers don't have to leave the jobs now. We get stuff delivered. It's normally within the hour, and that's made productivity so much more better.
Great.
But when I see Pimlico Plumbers going from here, we're going to carry on expanding in the London area. We've got 350 people on board now. We're going to get more of the market share in London. It's often been mentioned about going national, and it may be something that happens in the future. I sort of know now that at the moment, business is good. We're increasing to take people on, and we're certainly getting more and more of the market share in London. And I think that's going to be our route that we carry on. I believe that, I think with turnovers about 35 mil at the moment, but, I believe we can hit 100 mil turnover in London area alone. So we're building bigger. We have 30,000 square foot of headquarters. I've just taken on another 10,000 square foot of premises opposite our building. We're also going to build a couple of floors onto this building. So looking towards the future, we're going to expand and hopefully be the biggest and best plumbing company in the world.
Great stuff, Charlie. Those are big ambitions, but there's a lot of houses in London. I can totally see why you focus there and think about national possibilities later on, because there's so much to go for in one of the world's biggest cities.
Yes, undoubtedly. And I think, another thing I've learned in business, you've got to be confident, but you've also got to be realistic. And, we've got a winning formation here. If I'm being honest, Phil, I don't believe Pimlico Plumbers do anything that clever. We just do it right. And I'm a great believer, if you do it right and you offer a quality service, you'll be successful.
Great stuff. So, Charlie, where can we find you online?
On our website is pimlicoplumbers.com.
Great.
And we also have Twitter, which is Twitter Pimlico Plumbers. And we also have Instagram, which is Pimlico Plumbers. And we also have Facebook. Social media is great for business, undoubtedly. But, I'm not a computer guy, but I've got a lot of clever people that are computer people. And we get a hell of a lot of recognition from social media now. And another, people often say to me, Charlie, we can't afford advertising and the budget that you've got in spending. But social media is pretty much, a very either for nothing or very, very cheap. And you can put so much on there, and it's one of the best ways now, I think, of getting your company known that doesn't cost money.
I would agree. I would totally agree. And you said there, Charlie, you're not a computer guy, but you surround yourself with people who are, and that in itself means you are a clever businessman. You're putting yourself in the position where you are best for the company, as you said earlier on. And that world of social media for a company like yours, I can so see how that works. Because it's all about people sharing the fact that you've made their day better, isn't it?
That's right. You can put so much on there, Phil, and you're available for work. You work in this area. These are your charges. And I'm going to go back to what I was said many years ago. If people don't know about you, it's all pointless. So you must get recognised, and which, there's millions of ways of doing it. I'm probably going to add one more bit. Our vans, we're very much into corporate identity. Uniforms and vans are all sign written with names on, and everything is. And our biggest advertising tool, we have 200 vans now in London, and it's pretty much impossible to come to central London and not see one of our vehicles. So they're our biggest advertising tool. We're also very well known for plumbing related number plates, drain, bog, lav, bidet, shower. And they're all on their vans there. And again, people say to me, but I haven't got that type of money. But, a 10,000 mile journey starts with the first step. And number plates, we bought one probably 30 years ago called Drain. We now have a collection worth about $1.5 million. But the advertising that we get from it, people collect the number plates. We're like the Eddie Stoberts of the plumbing world. But I would recommend to anybody, make sure that if you are working, out of a vehicle, that you got corporate identity on it, or uniform, or an office, or anything at all, because it's so important that people know who you are.
It is that, Charlie. And we can see how that's been a massive part of your journey, from those early days right up to where you are now with 350 staff and looking to take over even more of London in the world of plumbing. So Charlie, it's been a great podcast. It's been so good listening to you and hearing all the great tips you've got. Have you got any final message you want to give everybody?
Yeah, I mean, there's millions of things. I know I've got to try and keep it simple. Most of the stuff is very corny that people come up with, believe in yourself, have confidence. I'm going to come up with one thing. I'm going to say whatever you do, whether it's a service you offer, a product, or whatever you're involved in your business, I'm going to go back to one word: quality of service or product is the key. And whatever you're doing there, however you present yourself, it's all about quality. And I believe that people will always pay for quality. So I'm going to say my tip for anybody is, offer the best you can offer in whatever you're offering. Just go over and above and offer, and people will always pay for quality.
It's a great tip, Charlie. Quality makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we've spent our money well. Lots of great things come from aspiring to be the best whatever you do. And
if anybody wants any more help from us, by all means, look up on our website. I have a book out there, Phil. I'm not necessarily trying to sell the book, but the book's called Bog Standard Business. And, it's very useful because a lot of what I've said is in there. And I know that a lot of people have bought the book and they say that it's beneficial for them. And it ain't all about selling the book. I mean, the money from the book, Phil, goes to children, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
My children.
I love the title, Bog Standard Business. That's fantastic. So is that available? Yeah. Is it in bookshops? Is it on Amazon Kindle?
It's on Amazon. You get it on Amazon. The other thing, Phil, we do tours at Pimlico Plumbers. We do between 10 and 20 people, business people come down. We do a charge of £150 that goes to a local charity. But again, I'm not tapped for business because, it costs us money. But, we do some charities come down. We do colleges. We do some other trusts, Princess Trust. Or we just do individuals that want to get together, 10 or 12 people, do a couple of hour tour of Pimlico. You get a book, you get a few other merchandise things, lunch, etc. And, I'm involved in it. And, for a couple of hours, people can ask me whatever they want to ask me. We all learn from someone, Phil. And I would just say to anybody, whether it be a book or whether it be a tour or whether it be from the website, the help and advice is out there. And it's up to you whether you want to be successful or not.
Great stuff, Charlie. I'm sure there'll be lots of people who would love to come down and spend some time with you after our podcast today. Sounds fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Charlie, for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely, Phil. Thank you.
My name is Phil Byrne, and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack, and most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.